Hey guys, welcome back to another video in our series. In the last video, we implemented commands to open desktop applications like Notepad, Calculator, and even play YouTube videos directly using voice commands. Everything was working great, but we encountered a small limitation. In today's video, we'll address a specific issue that I mentioned in the previous video. Certain applications, such as Microsoft Edge, WhatsApp, or third-party apps like McAfee, don't open directly by typing Start WhatsApp in the command prompt. Why does this happen? Well, the system can't recognize these applications because their paths are not stored in the system variables, or they don't have a simple start command. To solve this, we need to tell the system where these applications are stored. Once we know their locations, the file paths, we can launch them directly with our voice command system. This is especially useful for applications installed in custom locations or those that aren't globally accessible through the command line. So, what's the solution? We need to create a database where we store the paths of these applications. Later, when we give a voice command like Open WhatsApp, we'll retrieve the path from the database and then execute it. This will allow us to handle both system and third-party applications efficiently. We'll use SQLite to manage this database, which is lightweight and perfect for this type of project. Let's dive into the implementation now. First, we need to create a new file in our engine folder, and we'll name this file db.py. In this file, we'll handle all the database operations for our project. Since we're working with SQLite, the first thing we need to do is import the SQLite3 library. It's built into Python, so we don't need to install anything separately. Let's write this. Import SQLite3. Now, we need to create a database where we'll store the application paths. To do this, we use the built-in function of SQLite. This function connects to a database, and if it doesn't exist, it will create one. So here, first create a variable and name it con, then write SQLite.connect, and in the parenthesis, we'll name our database, so write Sophia.db. Now, run this code. You can see that a database file has been created in project directory. This file will store all the tables and data related to the applications we want to manage. Before we create any tables in the database, we need a cursor. A cursor is essentially a tool we use to interact with the database. With it, we can execute SQL commands. To create a cursor, here first create a variable with the name cursor, and then use the above con variable, and then write .cursor, which is a built-in function. Now that we have the cursor, we can define our first table. This table will store information about system applications, specifically their names and file paths. Let's create the table using an SQL query, which I already have written, so I'm just copying it. And pasting it here. First, let me explain this query. Create table if not exists. System command means we are creating a table called system command if it doesn't already exist. The table will have 3 columns: ID, name, and path. The ID column will be an integer, and it will automatically increment for each new entry. This means we don't have to manually assign an ID to each application. SQLite will handle that for us. The name column will store the name of the application, for example, WhatsApp or Edge. The path column will store the file path to the application's executable file. Then, with the help of the cursor, we will execute the query to create a table. Now run this file. So this file has been executed successfully. You might want to view database visually. For that, you need to install the extension in Visual Studio Code, which is SQLite Viewer. This extension allows you to explore SQLite databases directly within the editor. After installing the extension, you can open the Sophia.ddb file and view the tables. Here you can see our database is ready, and here we have one table with the name syscommand, and in this we have these columns. And here, ID is primary key, which will be auto increment, so we don't need to mention it. Now that our table is ready, let's add some data to it. We'll start by inserting the file paths for some applications. For this, we'll write an SQL insert query which I already have written, so I'm just copying it. And pasting it here. Let's say we want to add the path for VS Code. We'll use this query to insert into the system command table. In this query, we are inserting 3 values. Null for the ID, because SQLite will automatically generate the ID. Then the name of the application. And, at last, the file path of the application. After this, with the help of the cursor, we'll execute this query. Here, .execute is a built-in function. Here, I missed him with this variable name. After creating the table, we need to commit the changes to ensure that the table is saved in the database. This step ensures that any changes made to the database, like creating tables or inserting data, are permanently stored. And we also need to close the connection when done. Now, let's add the path for Visual Studio Code. First, locate the file icon, right-click on it and select Open File Location. In the window that opens, right-click again and choose Open File Location. Copy the path from this location and paste it here. Make sure to replace single backslashes with double backslashes. Finally, append the name of the executable file, e.g. code.exe. After updating this path, run the file again. The path for Visual Studio Code will now be stored in the database. Open the database file and here you can see the application name with its file path. You can repeat this process to add paths for other applications. For example, let's add OneNote information. Start by locating the OneNote icon. Right-clicking on it and selecting Open File Location. In the subsequent window, right-click on the OneNote executable and choose Open File Location. Copy the path from this location. Use double backslashes and write exe file name. Open the database file to see it. And here you can see OneNote and its path. In addition to system apps, we also want to store the URLs of web applications like YouTube, Canva, or Facebook. For this, we'll create another table called Web Command. Let's write the query to create a table for web apps, but first comment these commands as we don't want our database to replicate. Now, here copy this statement and change the table name. Also change the column name from path to URL. Now as our table is ready, let's add some values. First, add Canva and its corresponding URL. Next, add YouTube and its URL. Lastly, include Facebook and its URL. Instead of repeatedly writing commands to insert values, you can streamline the process by using a graphical tool. Reveal the database in File Explorer and open it with SQLite Studio, which I have installed. You can simply install it from Google. Using SQLite Studio, you can easily add values directly to the database. Once you open the database in the tool, you'll see the tables of database with its column names. You can then add values such as add Google and its URL directly through the interface. And to commit the changes, click on this green tick. So far, we've successfully set up an SQLite database to store the paths of system applications and URLs of web apps. We've also created tables to organize this data and inserted some sample paths. In the next video, we'll retrieve these stored paths using our voice assistant. So when you say Sophia, open WhatsApp or Sophia, open YouTube, the assistant will fetch the corresponding path or URL from the database and launch the app or web page for you. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so and check out the full playlist for more exciting content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.